Who is the number one public enemy of Big Brother? Why is Goldstein the number one public enemy of Big Brother? He serves as an object of collective hatred because everyone protests against him in the 2 minutes hate. Does everyone remember the 2 minutes hate? Which is a ritual that everyone goes through in the outer party. And he basically is the face, he's the embodiment of rebellion. And because he represents rebellion, he is an object of hate for the collective. Do you see the manipulation there? Let's make the person who represents rebellion the object of collective hatred. Because then now, everyone is going to be afraid of being like that person. So you can also use a word like demonize. So Big Brother demonizes Goldstein as the other. It was a term that actually came into play during the Cold War period, and that was after 1945, and the novel was written in 1949. And Orwell gets a lot of credit actually for coming up with the term the Cold War, where America and the Soviet Union, now Russia, went against each other and they started building nuclear arms and everyone was afraid. So fear is a key aspect of the human experience, or a human emotion experienced in the text. And Goldstein is a figure who actually embodies that demonized other so that the collective actually fears embodying the rebellion that he stands for, right? So we don't want anyone to rebel like Goldstein, because Goldstein was this potentially made up person who rebelled against Big Brother and started to think for himself. And we're going to make him the object of hate so that everyone fears being anything like him. No one's going to dare be like Goldstein if they know that everyone hates a person like that guy. He's basically just a figure, potentially imaginary. It's just, he's a symbol for rebellion. And that symbol of rebellion, which is going to be more relatable and more effective if he's represented as a person, because he's in the human form, right? That's why Big Brother has a face like Stalin. You know, when they describe what Big Brother may look like, even though no one's ever seen Big Brother. We still want to give him a human image so that people can relate on a human level to that figure. Also, what's the importance of having someone like Goldstein in the society of Oceania? What's the importance of having Goldstein in Oceania? Wouldn't you want to weed out all of the potential rebels and any idea of rebellion? So why would you want to show people that rebellion was even possible, or that there was someone who was a rebellion or was a rebel? To show what would happen to you so that you live in fear. But there's another point as well. Connects to Winston. It gives people like Winston hope, or at least inspiration, to rebel. And why would Big Brother tolerate that? Why would Big Brother want that? So it actually weeds out the potential rebels by showing a figure of rebellion and say, okay, anyone who relates to that figure is going to start to try and do something. We're going to catch them and get rid of them. So it actually helps isolate anyone with a rebellious potential. It isolates any individual with a rebellious potential, or it exposes them because they become inspired, and then it allows Big Brother to destroy that potential, which you see through Winston. Paradoxically, you don't want rebellion, therefore you highlight rebellion, but that's actually how you get rid of rebellion. You eliminate rebellion by focalizing rebellion. That's the paradox, isn't it? Why are the names of the 4 ministries ironic? Just a quick thing that you could have if you do talk about this. The ministry of truth, of peace, of plenty, which is to do with economic affairs, and love. They represent the exact opposite, or here's another way of wording it. The ministries serve to destroy those very virtues because they represent the opposite. They represent what's called the antithesis. What is the purpose of the 2 minutes hate? Remember, the 2 minutes hate is a ritual that the outer party, remember there's the inner party who are really like the people with all of the power. They are the embodiment of Big Brother. So Big Brother is represented by the inner party. That's like the small pocket of people who have all the power over society. And then there's the outer party, who are people who are somewhat capable of intellectual thought and therefore pose a threat. And then there's the 85% of the population are called the what? Proles, and they're the working class. But Big Brother doesn't worry about the proles because he doesn't think they have the capacity to critically think about what's going on. So Big Brother doesn't worry about 85% of the population, but he is worried about the outer party. Is that making sense? Inner party has the power. The outer party are the dangerous group, which Winston is a part of, and they work in those ministries. And then there's the proles, and the proles don't pose a threat because they don't have that intellectual capacity, it seems, to actually critically evaluate the state of their oppression. The outer party, which Winston belongs, are a threat. So we have to make the outer party participate, behave, right? That's a behavior in the 2 minutes hate. Now, what's the 2 minutes hate? So it's actually an outlet for human passion. So put that in. It's an outlet for human passion. But here's another important subpoint to make on 2 minutes hate is it leverages humanity's tribalistic nature, because you know how humans came from tribes and we used to all be in groups, and we still do identify in groups to a large extent. Like, no one likes to be isolated, right? We like to group up with people. That tribalism is very dangerous, isn't it? Because it means you will actually forego your individuality to belong to a group. So Big Brother takes advantage of, which means leverages, humanity's tribalistic tendencies or behavior or nature to replace the passion of love for the passion of hatred or hate. So instead of having love be expressed, we're going to create this tribalistic ritual. It's like a ritual, right? Everyone's chanting together. And that means that instead of channeling your passion towards intimacy and love, you're going to channel it into hate. Now, what's the other thing? When you get in such a rage, what happens when you lose your temper? It's like a ritual that constantly suppresses consciousness. Remember, we talked about the word consciousness. So collective consciousness is subdued by the emotional, there's the rubric term, by the emotional intensity of the 2 minutes hate.